Crusaders. Welcome to another episode of Sean's Movie Crusades. My name's Sean Waskrug, and today we're having a very special episode as we are going to be doing a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood spoiler review, and I've got two guests here with me today. Down in the lower right-hand corner, I've got Ethan Beller. Ethan, how are you doing today? And tell me, what's your favorite Tarantino film?
I'm doing good, Sean. I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here for another review. Favorite Tarantino changes, but I think I might have to go Inglourious Bastards. It's for me like a nearly flawless film. That first opening scene with Christoph Waltz and like the milk discussion, all that like is some of the best filmmaking I think ever put to the film or anything like that. And besides that, maybe Pulp Fiction, but Inglourious Bastards is like unbeatable for me.
Awesome. I personally, and for me, it is also Inglourious Bastards. I fucking love that movie, and like I agree that 20 minutes at the open, probably one of the best 20 minutes outside of Saving Private Ryan of any film. Then over in the lower left, we have my protege, my partner, part of the Jurassic Sharks, Kirk Kowalkowski. I know I said that right this time, did I not?
Nailed it.
That's effing right. Kirk, how are you doing tonight, and what is your favorite Tarantino film?
I'm real good. I'm excited to be here talking about this movie, Sean. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm going to make it a clean sweep. It's Inglourious Basterds for me, too. That's just such a good movie. For me, it's even at the length it has, it's the most rewatchable Tarantino movie for me. And Christoph Waltz and Brad Pitt's characters in there are probably my two favorite Tarantino characters. And just watching them, I could watch them all day. So, yeah. And I'd go with Ethan. My number two as well is probably Pulp Fiction.
Awesome. I don't know if Pulp Fiction is my number two. I honestly don't even know what my number two is. Maybe Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 together, or Django. Pulp Fiction's great. I mean, I wasn't a fan of it back in the day, but I think I saw it when I was too young to fully appreciate or understand it. But I did watch it last month, and I definitely did feel a lot better about it the second time around. And I got to watch it again here, in the coming months for obvious reasons for us. But not for you guys. You guys don't know what the heck we're talking about. but anyway, this is a spoiler review about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Both these gentlemen saw the movie just like I did, and I felt like this movie's got so much in it. Then why not talk about it and kind of just delve a little bit deeper that I couldn't do in my spoiler review or spoiler-free review. So this is a full-on spoiler review, so this is your warning right now. If you guys have not seen this, or you just don't care about being spoiled, then stick around. If you guys haven't, go check the movie out first, and then come on back and see what we thought about it. But let's go ahead and dive in. Ethan, you guys already know how I feel. I did my review for it, but Ethan, let's go to you first. What were your thoughts of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Well, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was Tarantino doing what Tarantino does at every step of the way to the nth degree. It had the writing, the cinematography, the music, the editing, the acting, and especially the editing was funny because I know his longtime editor I think passed away before Hateful Eight, but this had like a really like quick, good rhythm to it the whole time, and I loved every minute. I think Brad Pitt was maybe the best he's ever been. This is a fantastic Brad Pitt performance. I think I'd be very upset and surprised if he wasn't nominated at least for the Oscar for supporting actor. I thought the way he handled his violence and the whole movie setting up for that final insane sequence was expertly handled. And I had a really fun time watching it.
Awesome. And Kirk, what about you?
Yeah, I loved it. We were talking about our top Tarantino movies, and I gave you my top two. Right now, I'm trying to decide if this is my number three, or my number four. It's that high on the list. Tarantino talks about how when directors get older, they start to slow down, and their movies aren't as good. I think he just proves that theory with this movie because it felt fresh. It felt like a movie from a young filmmaker. It was kinetic. There was always something to look at. For me personally. It was 2 hours, 40 minutes. It could have been 3 hours, 10 minutes, and I would have sat there and sucked it all up because I loved it so much. Just visually, I think it's Tarantino's best movie. There's so much to look at. He makes the era a character. He makes the city a character, and it's just so rich with the the cars, the styles, the architecture, the buildings. Of course, the soundtrack, the commercials playing in the background. Everything just creates this world. He made me a world I never lived in. He made me nostalgic for it, and it was just a fantastic movie. I loved it.
Well, that's great. I guess I'm the odd man out. Not that I didn't love it. I liked it. I thought it was a very very solid film. Maybe I just went in with too high of expectations, but there were definitely some things that I think they could have either done better or B trimmed. Because I felt like there's a lot of fat in this movie that they could have trimmed down. While I'm totally okay with watching a 3-hour Tarantino film, I mean, Inglourious Bastards for one, but there was just certain parts where I felt like either they could have done something else to make it that length, or there were certain things I felt like they either trailed too long on or cut down. But one thing I think I agree 100% agree with Ethan. Brad Pitt's performance, fantastic in this film. Both Leo and Brad Pitt, fantastic in this film. I hope they both get nominations. Pitt more so than DiCaprio. I think DiCaprio, while his performance is fantastic in the film, by the time we get to award season, that will probably get overshadowed. But Pitt definitely needs to have a nomination for this. Definitely my favorite performance of his, probably since Inglourious Bastards. But yeah, so let's go ahead and deep dive into this film. Let's talk about the big thing. I think that everyone wants to talk about. Let's talk about that finale where they changed the whole.
You cut out a little show.
Yeah, you cut out this show.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, there's nothing I can really do about it. It is we're on Skype, so Wi-Fi happens.
That's fine.
So I apologize to anyone who hears me cut out in the video. But yeah, let's talk about. Let's dive into it. Let's talk about that finale. I think that's where kind of every spoiler review starts, and we're not going to be any different. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts about them changing the Sharon Tate murders to, I guess, no murders? Kirk, what was your thought process on that?
We're not hearing any of that show.
You were out there. You're asking about the final scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are, let's dive into that final scene.
Okay.
I thought it was fantastic, and I thought they did a great job of building up to that. And it's funny how like I walked out of the movie theater and I'm like, Tarantino movies are just like episodes of Quantum Leap now. And I'm fine with it. Like, awesome. Like, setting right what once went wrong, you go for it, Quentin, because it's awesome. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was they did a great job. Even those characters, the Manson family characters weren't on screen for that long. They did such a great job of setting them up as who they are. And, knowing the story and what in real life actually happened. Getting you angry. And I think and we'll probably talk about this, but they do a good enough job kind of making you fall in love with Sharon Tate to where you know what they're going to do to her, or what they're supposed to do to her. You hate them for that. So when that happened, I was in a packed theater, and when that scene went off, I mean, people were cracking up. It was people were just guffawing over that scene. I think it was just such a cathartic moment, and that's what he does so well. He does those cathartic moments so well where he gives you what you want. He didn't necessarily do that early in his career, but he's doing that now with his, almost like his, like, I call it his revenge fantasy era, that he's doing going the whole way back to, Death Proof and up till now. And he does such a great job of really paying that off, and I loved it. I mean, going back to Brad Pitt's performance, just him being stoned through that, and just kind of figuring his way out through it, and still just totally laying them out. It was fantastic. That movie was short on Tarantino violence, but what we got was beautiful.
What do you think, Ethan?
I mean, I agree with everything Kirk just said. I think that that final sequence, like he said, my entire theater was losing their minds, as was I, because I don't know if I've had that much fun in a theater I can't remember the last time, and it was in that one sequence, I mean, every little thing that he set up throughout the whole movie all came together just for that one crazy violent sequence, like, the acid tip cigarette, the flamethrower was one of the greatest moments.
I was gonna say, let's not leave out the flamethrower.
Yeah.
No, when Leo walked out with that, like, everyone in the theater just lost their minds completely. I think that, like what Kirk was saying, like, Margot Robbie, she does make you fall in love with her as Sharon Tate, and which also I just want to say really quick so I don't forget. People have been giving Tarantino shit for, like, not giving her, like, as much dialogue or stuff like that, but I thought he did a great job making you love that character without dialogue, and Margot Robbie did such a fantastic job delivering that performance, using her face, just dancing around, doing all that stuff. She was so good without the dialogue, which is, I think, even more impressive for a Tarantino movie.
We'll touch on that, because I one of my negatives was something about Robbie, but keep going with that finale.
Yeah. So I love how everything was set up. I love the end the very end where I forgot what. Do you guys remember what Leo's character's name was?
Rick Dalton.
Rick Dalton, right? Rick Dalton. He goes to the house at the end, and it says "Once Upon a Time in Hollywood." It closes out, and it literally is just a fairy tale ending, which I thought was so funny because it's like Tarantino with a happy ending, like such a weird decision, but it really worked, and it tied everything together at the beginning of the movie. Once Upon a Time, it's they all lived happily ever after. I was shocked.
And
but
that actual ending touched on something that he said in the beginning of the film, if you guys remember, where it's when they're driving home the first time, and he's like, "Look at my next door neighbor. It's frickin' Polanski." He goes,
Right,
"I might get
right.
invited to a pool party, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden I'll be in the next one of his movies." And then, sure enough, the end
Right.
of the film, this happens. It's not a pool party, but he's getting introduced, and it ends with the thought process of, okay, Dalton's gonna find this is gonna be Dalton's opening to
Right.
make it big. But then, did any of you guys stay for the mid-credit scene?
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Oh, it was,
So
it
it's
was
like
incredible.
maybe his career didn't go that way. I don't know.
Well, I think that was set up before when he was still in the TV show.
Oh, was it? Is
Because
that,
he
is
was
that how it
talking-
was entailed?
Yeah, he's talking about the character from the TV show, so I think it was like a
Okay.
prequel type thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was a prequel or if that was like I was like, oh, so that
Yeah.
didn't happen for him. That sucks. but yeah, no, I thought the finale was awesome because part of me was just wondering is like, okay, I think we were all in agreement the Sharon Tate murders were not gonna happen. Because you just know how much shit Tarantino would have gotten
Yeah.
if that would have happened. Now, I thought what was going to happen was that they were going to go to Tate's house, and then Pitt being outside with, what was the dog's name? Was it like Brandy? Brandy, yeah. I thought he was going to be outside, and he was going to think it was an illusion because he was on an acid trip. And either A, he goes back in the house and the Tate murder still happened, or B, he goes to the Tate house and saves them. I didn't think they were actually going to go to Dalton's house instead, but that's where I thought it was going to go, and it didn't, which I'm totally okay with. But yeah, I was I love the whole Brad Pitt back and forth when he was stoned. He was just all like, "Are you real?"
Yeah.
and then of course once the whole when he chucked that can at her face, I was like,
Yeah.
oh. And I'll admit, even when I was in the theater, as soon as DiCaprio turned and ran to the shed, I was like, he's grabbing the flamethrower. He's got that flamethrower. He's got that flamethrower. And I was like, oh, yay. I love that too.
That was paced so well because I mean, let's face it, him pulling out that flamethrower is ridiculous.
Yeah,
but
it's incredible.
the way it built up to that, where it's like everybody's just having so much fun with it, and it's so funny because it's like we're having fun with these brutal murders, but I mean they deserve it.
It's just like Hitler. It's just like Hitler.
Yeah,
and Glorious
exactly,
Bastards. It's a murder
yeah.
that we cheer, not a
Yeah.
murder that we feel bad about. And one
Yeah,
little
like-
moment that I loved, not to cut you off, just because I don't want to forget it, is in that moment where he's talking to was it Jay Sebring, Jay Sterling? What was his name? Emil Hirsch's
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When he's like, I set her on fire. And Emil's like, with the flamethrower and he named the movie,
Yeah.
and you could it was a beautiful moment because like as soon as he said that, you saw DiCaprio's face going like, oh, he knows my movie, like
Yeah.
he like just like that because like, we were at that point where it's like he thought he was done, his career was done, it was over, and that person like it was that little line like, hey, I know your movie, I'm a huge fan of yours. And because there's someone in that house and stuff like that, like you can see that was like that last second little touch to Leo's character, which I loved throughout the movie. I loved how vulnerable DiCaprio was throughout that entire film. But yeah, I loved that part as well. Since I brought it up, right? Let's talk about Margot Robbie, Sharon Tate. Me personally, and I said it in the review, but just in case people didn't not see that, I thought Margot Robbie did a fantastic job as being Sharon Tate. Like, and I agree with you, Ethan. She did so much without having to say a whole lot. My problem was, I feel like she was underutilized in the whole film. I felt like she wasn't used enough, and I felt like she was just more there to kind of go, hey, remember Sharon Tate? You remember Sharon Tate? Cool, here's Sharon Tate, so you can tell we're going to go down this path with the Manson family, so let's show you Sharon Tate, but let's not give Sharon Tate really anything to do in the movie. Because, I mean, outside of the movie theater scene, which I'll touch on that as well, because that was a very weird scene for me, there wasn't really a whole lot for her to do in this film, except just be this beautiful actress. But, I mean, she had no, and she's super lovable, and she's a great character, and Margot Robbie played her beautifully, because it shows how amazing of a person or nice person Sharon Tate was. I just felt like they could have just done so much more.
Sorry, Sharon, you're cutting out. I'm not getting any of that. Were you getting that, Kirk?
In and out.
Okay. Well, I
There
can't.
you go.
I
You're good
can't.
now.
I can't
You're
help
fine,
that.
you're fine, you're
It's
good.
like
Yeah,
I
I just
can't
want to
help
make sure
that.
you're not.
Yeah.
Is it going to be recorded? Yeah, I just want to make sure you get all that.
Yeah.
I have no idea. If it did, then if I did, then all this is being recorded with it. But yeah, it was one of those things where I felt like Tate's performance, while she did a great job, I feel like there's just not enough of her character in the film to really breathe life into Sharon Tate's character, other than being a beautiful, very, very nice woman. Did you guys hear that part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Discuss. Kirk, let's go to you first. Or
I
Ethan.
completely get what you're saying, and I could see where you're coming from, absolutely. I think for me, the reason it worked is because I feel like Sharon Tate, for this story, I feel like that's what she should have been. She should have been a side character who was instrumental in the final scene, but she didn't really have much to do during the movie because I don't think her character had any real importance on what was going on before that, you know? But I do think that Tarantino, like, it wasn't just like, well, here's Sharon Tate being Sharon Tate. Like, I like that touch where he showed, during the movie, he showed the flashback of her training with Bruce Lee to show that, like, she worked really hard for her roles, and, like, even if it was a silly role in, like, a comedy or whatever that was, you know, she really went for it. And I do think that it's very important to make us fall in love with that character for that ending to work, especially if you don't know the history of it, you know? Because if you don't know what happens, and then you still love this character, and you know, when they say they're going to the house to kill everyone, you're still gonna be worried for her and not want that to happen. But I get what you're saying, because, you know, she didn't really do too much for the story, at least during the actual movie, until the end.
Could you imagine people who didn't know the real story and they thought that that's how the movie ended, and then they go look up like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that would have been a dark reveal for anyone who did not know about Sharon Tate.
Yeah.
Oh god,
Yeah.
I'm just putting myself in that position. I'm like, that would be horrible to get out of the theater
Actually,
and find that
I had
out.
friends who came with me I didn't know she didn't know this, but until after the movie, she told us that she didn't know anything about Sharon Tate or the murders. So it was, which is interesting, because it was good talking to someone with that perspective, because I wonder what that's like watching the movie without that knowledge.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
She still loved it, but definitely has a very different connotation.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I'm sure
the
the ending wasn't as strong or as big because of that, without that
Right.
knowledge.
I saw the movie. My wife didn't have like a ton. I mean, she knew the general story, but she didn't know exactly what happened. And during that scene, you know, when you know the final scene we're talking about, my wife looks over. She's kind of horrified. She's like, "Why is everybody laughing?" And I'm like, "Because this is what these people did in real life." And she's like, "Okay, I get it now." So, but yeah, as far as Sharon Tate goes, I do see your viewpoint, Sean, but I do agree with Ethan that you know, first of all, I do think she did a lot with what she was given, the screen time she was given, without the lack of dialogue. And I'm still working this out. I'm going to see the movie again before I think I finally get it. But, you know, this is a movie about, you know, like the end of old Hollywood and the death of old Hollywood. And, you know, in real life, her death kind of coincided with that same time period. It was kind of symbolic of that. And you see her living that life, and she's almost like a symbol of that old Hollywood lifestyle. And I think seeing her just, you know, like the Playboy Mansion and all this stuff, like living up and just being with all the celebrities and having a good time, and you know, watching herself in the movie, I think that was like I said, that's a symbol of the world this movie took place in. And, you know, I don't know exactly what Tarantino was saying, you know, by saving her. Like, I don't know, is he like trying to save that time period, you know, whatever. But and I guess that's what I'm still working out in my head. But I think she was more of a symbol in this movie than an actual person.
Of purity and good in Hollywood.
Yeah, and like that innocence of that time. And I think it worked for that. But I could see from your standpoint if you wanted more as a character being a little let down.
It was just more or less because you cast someone like Margot Robbie, and with the trailers, they make it seem like it is a 3-tier story with all these three, and it still is in a point, but in terms of her performance, while her performance was great, I just felt that there was so much more they could have either brought to the character or just done more with, just to give Margot Robbie just a little bit more to do. And also with that Playboy scene, how did they not do a Hugh Hefner cameo?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
surprising.
that would have been
Yeah.
fun.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
I wasn't even thinking about it.
all I kept thinking
Yeah.
about was like, who's gonna be cast as Hugh?
Yeah.
And they
Right.
never did it. And I was just like, how do you not do that?
I will say,
yeah,
since we're talking about that now, the guy that played Steve McQueen, I can't remember the actor's name.
Is it Daniel Lewis?
Damon Lewis.
Damian
Yeah.
Lewis.
Damian
Yeah.
Lewis.
Damian Lewis
Yeah.
from
Great
Homeland.
Steve McQueen, spot on. He was fantastic.
Except for the
That was-
hair.
The hair was
That was-
terrible.
That was Steve McQueen hair. Then that's what his hair looked like.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
I was told otherwise. I told his hair was not that poofy, but no, I mean I liked his performance. I was just like, God, you can tell that's a wig. Let's touch on that too since you just brought it in. Let's talk about all the cameos. I mean, this movie was littered with cameos. I mean, there were some people who had some significant parts, like Mike Moe as Bruce Lee, who I flippin' loved. And if they ever make a Bruce
He was
Lee
incredible.
biopic, he needs to be in it. But then there were others where I was just like, wow, you just really wanted to be in this movie. Because, like, you had a line, and then you're gone, and we never saw you again. But what were some of the cameos that stood out for you outside of, obviously, Bruce Lee, which was a fantastic cameo?
For me, I think that the big one, and there's a very specific reason why, was the Roman Polanski showing up multiple times throughout the movie, and I'm conflicted on it because I'm not sure what you really would say in the movie because it's all before what happened with him, but Tarantino has publicly defended Polanski, which made me wonder like if he would have any kind of reference to what he would do later, or if he wouldn't, because I know Tarantino, I guess, sees Polanski as someone who was wronged by Hollywood. So every time I saw him, I felt a little uncomfortable just knowing that Tarantino was probably just having a good time putting his buddy in a movie, or not his buddy, but someone he respected. Besides that, I mean, like you said, the Bruce Lee thing that whole sequence was fantastic. I mean, that whole scene.
He gets thrown in the car.
Yeah, he thrown in the car. I mean, Kurt Russell showing up was fantastic.
Yeah.
So by cameo, do you want us to go through actors or
like who
Hollywood characters too?
Doesn't matter. Do
Okay,
whatever makes you feel right, Ethan.
All right. I had a good time when Zoe Bell showed up, longtime Tarantino son.
Oh, as Russell's wife.
As Kurt Russell's wife. Getting all pissed off as an angry Australian stunt coordinator or whatever she was on set there. She killed it. She was great. Pacino was great. Although until later, I didn't love the first stuff with him in the beginning of the movie as much as I did with him later when it actually tied in with like the spaghetti western stuff. But I mean, he was fantastic as an actor. I just mean the character, but he was great. Yeah, I'm trying to think who else popped up that I was Scoot McNairy popping up for like 2 minutes of screen time maybe.
Who?
Scoot McNairy. He was one of the goons during the Western TV show. I'm not sure
He was the businessman that got shot. He was the businessman.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
the guy that's out there and he's all like, "Who
Yeah.
are you?" Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I remember that now.
And then Luke Perry's last performance,
Yeah. Almost wish he had more to do in the movie than just the line, but I mean, it is what it is. At least he was in it. At least we got to see him one last time. What about you, Kirk? What were some cameos that stood out to you?
That was, I mean, and again, I don't know what I should have expected, but that was one of my disappointments. That a lot of these characters, although the actors I was excited to see be in this movie were kind of just in and out, like you said. And with the size of this cast, obviously that had to be the case. But I mean, Pacino, like Ethan said, I did love what he was in, what he did there. But I really was hoping he'd be a bigger character, just because I love the idea of him working with Tarantino and seeing what they would do together. And I mean, I think he got a lot out of the little bit they had. But I would love to see them do another movie together where Pacino had a bigger role, just to see those two greats really just create something together. I think that would be really good. Other than that, I thought Dakota Fanning was really good as Squeaky Foam in her little part she had. She really, I mean, she was unrecognizable.
Yep.
And she played that part. I really don't know too much about the real person, but I think she did a great job in the role. The Timothy Oliphant I like. It was good seeing him. I'm going through so many people.
Anytime Oliphant's in a movie, I'm down. I love Timothy Oliphant.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, people were just in that. It was fun. I mean, it made the movie, and I think that may be one of the things that would keep me interested, because like, oh, there's so and so, there's so and so. So like, it kept cycling through. But yeah, Pacino was the one I probably enjoyed the most, but was still hoping for a little bit more of.
The one cameo, and I don't think it's a cameo, but the one I'm gonna have to look her up because unless you guys could know her name, the little girl.
Something
yeah.
Butters.
Oh, she
Something
was.
Butters. She's incredible.
She was
Yes.
amazing. Like both scenes,
Yeah.
both scenes. Whether it was them just sitting there talking about the whole book back and forth, and then of course the actual perform. That was my favorite parts of the movie, was when Leo was on that set, like
Yeah.
from his sitting there and like in the makeup van, like, well, how are you gonna see that it's me? And
Yeah.
like and then him having that talk with her, and then him flubbing his line. Like first off, I loved when he's doing the scene with Oliphant and the camera pans behind Oliphant's head, and then they go, okay, reshoot, and then he did the exact same thing again.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
loved
Yeah.
that. And then of course Leo's blow up in the trailer, beautiful. I loved every single second of that. And then of course the actual performance that he did do with the little girl. That was my favorite part of the film, was that whole sequence of Leo's performance on that show. I wish. And what sucks is that like we never heard about it again because it was like pilot. I was just like,
Right.
I was like, oh, but he did so well in that moment. But like I that was the part that I loved most about Leo, was that whole sequence, because it showed his determination, his love of being an actor, his fear of being unrecognizable, unnoticed, and then him doing what he does best and putting on a fantastic performance, and showing that he is a great actor. But just he made some bad choices, and he's kind of fallen out of the limelight, and he's just scratching to stay in it. Beautiful performance by Leo. I loved every second of that moment in the film.
Yeah.
Now one of the moments that I'll admit I thought was a little slow, a little dragging, and I think a lot of people have kind of been talking about the same thing, was probably at the ranch. Felt that it went too long. It slowed down the movie. Not that the movie was real fast paced to begin with, but like, what were your thoughts about the ranch scene?
That was actually possibly my favorite scene in the movie, behind the final sequence with all the violence and everything, because I felt the tension every second, and for me it just kept ramping up every time he would ask Squeaky a question, and she would just say something that was clearly a lie over and over and over again,
And it
until
ended
the
up
final
being
moment
true.
where you're like, oh, yep, none of that was a lie.
Yeah.
And like, not only was it funny at the end with Bruce Dern, who was another good cameo, but I was so tense the whole time. It felt like a horror movie. Like, it made me want to see Tarantino do horror, because like Pitt walking down that hallway with like the atmosphere and the gross sinks and like all the rooms and everything. I was really into that.
What about you, Kirk?
Yeah, I honestly, it reminded me of, we're talking about that opening scene in *Inglourious Basterds*. It reminded me of that, because it was just like, what's gonna happen? And it was just paced so well. And I think it was segmented well, where like, it's like, he shows up and everybody's nice and friendly, and and then you find out, like, you realize, like, oh, this is the whole reason he brought her here, was to find out about his friend. Like, first you think he's flirting with this girl, and I mean, when he picked her up, it was, but as soon as she said the name of the ranch, from that moment on, that's what was on his mind, was helping his friend, was checking on his friend. And you get to that moment, and it's like, okay, now it's going to turn. He's with these vicious killers. They're surrounding him. Like you said, it was like a horror movie, and they're just all kind of just surrounding the house. And then he goes in, and like, you have that moment where you're like, oh, he's dead. And what's going to happen once he finds him dead? Because they're not. Are they going to kill Brad Pitt right in this part of the movie? Well, that'd be crazy. And you find out he's okay, and it just you take that deep breath, and that relief of seeing that guy okay. And then it amps up again with the whole thing with the tire and Tex coming back, and everything. What's going to happen? So I loved it. Like, it didn't feel dread. Like I said, it felt like that. Like I said, it felt like *Inglourious Basterds*, where it just really nicely paced, just tense scene.
I think the problem with a lot, I like the scene too. I do agree that it was a little slow, but that's because they like you said, they were building the tension up, and I think a lot of people are just used to Quentin just being, boom boom boom, even though he's not. You watch any of his films, he's not a boom 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 guy. He lets the scenes bleed and bleed out, and a lot of people just aren't, I guess, used to that.
Yep.
I think more the problem is that you had that, and then you had the Margot Robbie theater scene, like, right on top there with each other. So it was just like a 20+ minute stretch of just like nothing. I mean, there was stuff happening, but it was just like that, and then you have Tarantino, or you have Leo doing his cowboy shoot. There's just like it was a big stint in the movie where not a lot was happening in terms for the audience, but a lot of stuff was happening in the film. And I think that's what everyone was talking about, was like where the second act kind of dragged. Like I said, the Margot Robbie movie theater scene, I get why it needed to be in there, and I get why the authenticity of having the original film be shown. But it was also weird because Margot Robbie doesn't look like Sharon Tate, so it's just one of those things. Was like she's watching herself, but it's not her. And then there was one other.
I thought like, not obviously like a 1-to-1, but I thought she looked pretty close.
I did until I saw her in the movie, and I was like, oh wow, they don't look alike. But that's all it could be, like she was dressed up for that role.
Right, and she had different hair, so like that helped me.
Exactly. But then there was also one big problem with that scene that I have too, and that's what we're gonna go into next.
Well, I'll say, but before we do that, I'll just say that I felt like, to me, that fact that keeping the original film, to me, that was like a classic Tarantino choice. And it was one of those things where he just gives his movies like an otherworldly feel, where like you're kind of just like, something's kind of not right. And not in a bad way, but just in the fact that this isn't like, it's an augmented reality that he creates.
It was one of those things where it's like, I feel like he wanted people to see Tate for what she was, and not for what ended up happening to her. And so let's see her in an actual scene of her actually performing, which, like I said, I can appreciate and understand. It was just one of those, like, your eyes were just like, that's weird.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the one part of that scene that I hated, and it's a theme that happened throughout the entire film, and you guys already know where I'm going with this.
I know where you're going with it.
I see you guys both laughing. The feet. I'm not a feet guy. I'm not. But, like, dude, she was wearing boots when she went into that theater. It's like, no girl's gonna take off her boots in a theater. And then, like, also her feet were, like, super dirty. And then, like, there's the part where, was it Pussy? Pussy Lover? Pussycat? Pussycat. In the car with the feet right up in front. I'm like, oh, give me a break. It's like, come on. It's like, look, it's like,
that wasn't the worst thing we saw about her, but...
No, you're talking about the armpit? You're talking about the armpit? Yeah.
Well, it's funny, Sean, because right before that movie theater scene, I was honestly thinking, we haven't seen her feet yet.
Yeah.
And then they come up, so yeah.
Yeah, it's just oh god, there was so much feet in this movie.
I'm pretty sure this had the most feet out of any Tarantino movie so far. I'm like almost positive.
Which makes me wonder, is he in on the joke, and he's just trying to go, you guys think I like feet? Wait till you see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And then just boom.
I think it's both, because A, he definitely just wanted to see all these women's feet, and B, I think he's in on it because they did a roast of him a while ago, and I don't think there's footage of it, but there was like an image that I saw from it where like Uma Thurman like poured wine out of her shoe into his mouth or something. So I'm pretty sure like he knows that people know he loves feet,
Oh,
yeah. It was just like, God, there's just so much feet in this film. But none of the guys, you notice that no guys. They had a lot of shots of Brad Pitt's, was it moccasin boots?
Yeah.
They had a lot of shots of that, just to show that like he was kind of like hippie-ish in a way, even though Leonardo hates hippies. That was a very hippie thing for him to wear. But yeah, it's just like, oh god, the feet, and for Kirk, the armpit hair.
Yeah.
I'll admit too, when she laid down, I was like, huh? I'm like, oh whoa, okay. Yeah, I noticed that too. But yeah, it was just, oh god, it's like, okay, cool. I'm sure he has a super cut of all the feet just for him personally.
Oh yeah, he's got B-roll footage. Just just feet.
between that and probably the Uma Thurman scene in Kill Bill where she's just looking at her foot and saying move your big toe. Like it's like that was the first time I noticed. I'm like, okay, I see where Tarantino. I'm starting to notice Tarantino's thing now. But yeah, it's yikes. I did not need that. I was just kind of like, all right, let's move on.
Yeah, and real quick, you touched on Brad Pitt's wardrobe. I just have to give a shout out to whoever picked that phenomenal Hawaiian shirt that he wore throughout.
I knew there was no way we were gonna get through this review without Ethan bringing up the Hawaiian shirts.
Top tier, fantastic. I want it right now. It's so good.
For the people watching who don't know, I don't think there's only been one time in the entire time that I've known Ethan where he has not worn a Hawaiian shirt. So anything Hawaiian, Ethan is going to be 2 thumbs up. I love this movie. Let's talk about Pitt. Did you guys did you like or not like that we never got the answer about whether or not he murdered his wife?
I loved that. I thought that the ambiguity was what made me love that choice because I like and the decision to drop that knowledge later in the movie, like I mean, like it was like 40 minutes into almost when we find that out,
Yeah.
was great. You already fall in love with that character, and then you're like, oh shit, and it kind of reflects real life Hollywood because I don't know if this was specifically Tarantino's intention. I'd be shocked if he didn't know this. I mean, obviously he would, but Christopher Walken was accused of murdering his wife Natalie Wood, right, on a boat. So like, I was wondering is like, and Walken has obviously he's worked with Tarantino a bunch, so it's like, was that like a direct dig at Christopher Walken almost? And
I honestly
one
did
one
not. I did not know that. I did not know
Yeah.
If
that.
you look into it, yeah, Walken was accused of killing Natalie Wood and like drowning her on a boat or something like that. It's like
Well,
almost
he was on the boat. I think it was what's his name, Nellie Wood. The person Nellie Wood was married to at the time, I can't remember his name, but he was accused of killing her. And
right.
Walken was there. I don't know if I mean, there's ideas that maybe he was in on it or not, but Walken was there. He was present.
That's right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Did anyone catch who played his wife? She was moving so quick.
No,
I could never.
I
I couldn't
didn't
tell
know.
if that was a cameo or not. I'm looking it up right now while you guys are talking, because I'm interested to see if that was a cameo. And we just weren't able to spot it because she was wearing a big hat and glasses. But yeah, Kirk, what did you think? Was that something that you wish? Because I know Rumor Willis was a cameo that I didn't recognize. I didn't recognize her. I had to find that out. She was the pregnant woman that came and visited Margot when Margot was pregnant, or no, she was the woman with the baby.
Right. Okay.
That was Rumor Willis. So I'm really looking it up to see if maybe she played a bit. But Kirk, what were your feelings on not knowing whether or not Brad Pitt
I
killed
was
his
okay
wife?
with it. I kind of liked in that scene, that short flashback scene. They show it, and like the way it sounds, like he almost definitely did.
Yeah.
But they just leave that a little bit ambiguity, a little bit of ambiguity, and I kind of like that. But honestly, by the time, and maybe this was the point, by the time everything happens at the end, like I was like, I want to know, and like, first I'm like, are they going to resolve that? By the end, I really didn't care to know one way or the other, and that was probably how we were supposed to feel.
Yeah.
But no, I liked it. Like Ethan said, just dropping that in, like out of nowhere, like when Kurt Russell's character just yelled, "They killed his wife." You're like, what? And no,
yeah, that was definitely like a what? Because you kept wondering, it's like he's such a charming guy. You could tell he's very loyal. It's like, why isn't he getting work? And then there was that line where Bruce is like, well, he's friends with. Well, I'm like, well, why the fuck does that matter? And then it's like, oh, okay.
And that fills in love with his character, why he's living by himself out there in that dingy little trailer and everything. It's like, okay, I get it now. But yeah, I like the ambiguity of it.
Yeah, I am not finding her. But then
I
again,
love
this
that-
cast list is also like 200 people long.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I also love that scene, that flashback on the boat, was a flashback within a flashback.
Yeah.
Because that whole sequence with Kurt Russell was a flashback in itself.
Yes, it was.
That a flashback, or was he imagining that?
No, that was
What?
a flashback. Cause and then that punchline when he's like, fair enough. That was him realizing why
he wasn't able to get the job.
Was like, I'm not even gonna ask because.
See, I thought because he was like, fair enough. I thought he imagined that. I thought that was all of him imagining what would happen if he got that job. And he was like, fair enough. Because the way, when he beat up Bruce Lee, I'm like, I can't believe they had him beat up Bruce Lee. Because Bruce Lee's like a god right now. Like, you can't say anything like anybody can beat up Bruce Lee.
He did not touch me. He did not hurt me. It was an even fight.
When he had him like tossing Bruce Lee in the car, I'm like, whoa, I can't believe they're doing that. And then when he came back, he's like, fair enough. Maybe I'm wrong, but I interpret that as that was him up there working, imagining of everything that would happen if he got the job. And he's like, okay, fair enough. But that's not the first time I heard it referred to.
Oh no, because they mentioned earlier that they did work on Green Hornet.
Yeah, that's why it was definitely.
Yeah, Caprio said, Green Hornet earlier that he was on Green Hornet.
Gotcha. Okay, all right.
So that wasn't in his brain. That was something that legit happened to his character. But
right.
yeah, Ethan, it was because they flashback was the flashback of the death of his wife in that flashback?
Yeah, it was after Kurt Russell says it, and then they go back to that.
Yeah, so it was a flashback inside of. Yeah, I did not notice. I did not notice that. But because Leo had mentioned numerous times when they go, oh yeah, you did this. He goes, yeah, because I did some Green Hornet and stuff like that too. So that was in the past. So that's why I don't think it was a fantasy in his head. Like that was him replaying it, going, okay, yeah, fair enough. That's why Leo's not going to do it, because I not only destroyed not only fought Bruce Lee, but I destroyed Zoe Bell's car.
Yeah. So,
But
Kirk,
yeah,
I'm actually interested. Now that you have a different context for that scene, does it change how you feel about it?
that is a very good point.
Well, what I'm surprised that there's not more, because I remember when they even showed like that quick second of the trailer of the two of them fighting.
Mm-hmm.
People were complaining like, are they gonna have Brad Pitt beat up Bruce Lee? So I'm surprised that is supposed to actually have happened. Like I thought the fact that it was imagined was the cop out. The fact that actually happened, I'm surprised there's not more people complaining that Bruce Lee that Brad Pitt bested Bruce Lee.
But the thing is that he didn't best him. It ended in a tie. The only thing he bested him is because Bruce Lee got cocky and he just used his strength to knock. But like when they actually did fight, it was a back and forth.
He tossed him in that car, and I mean, like the fact that he was able to like go toe to toe with Bruce Lee, I think a lot of people would find, not me, but I think a lot of people would find insulting.
Well, I know they said.
And they were like making like they were kind of like making that a joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
but Bruce Lee does
I
that.
thought that was, yeah, but I thought that was Brad Pitt like making fun of him in his imagination. So that does change it, but that changes also. I'm surprised by the reaction.
I heard. I can't remember what video it was. Someone was explaining that actually these characters are based off of Brad Pitt's actually based off of I can't remember his name right now, but an actual particular stuntman who was like really like that. Just like this epic badass. And then apparently DiCaprio's is based off of Burt Reynolds. Apparently. Or a version of Burt Reynolds and like someone else. But apparently DiCaprio is supposed to be Reynolds.
You bring that up, I'll ask that now. Does anybody know who Burt Reynolds was supposed to play in the movie?
I think it was supposed to be Bruce Dern's character.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like I read that somewhere that it was supposed to be, and that Dern was recast as whatever Burt Reynolds was supposed to be.
Alright.
I'm trying to see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, it was Robert Wagner that was accused of killing Natalie Wood.
Right. And Walken was on the boat with him, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Oh, so it wasn't.
So Walken wasn't accused.
Walken was there.
People think if it happened that he would have had to have been involved.
And yes, it was Bruce Dern that replaced Reynolds in the film. So
okay.
Burt Reynolds would have been was it George?
Yeah.
George. Yeah. Trying to think where to go to next in this. Okay, so one thing that I also heard a complaint on, I personally didn't care. I thought it was fine. Was there was so like Kirk, you said, Hollywood was its own character. But a lot of people got real annoyed with how many for all the driving scenes.
Ooh.
Like just the long driving scenes where they're just like that people were saying that like it was just Quentin clearly just wanted to play the soundtrack. Like they're like there's one scene where they literally play 3 straight songs, kind of thing. I was just like I don't think it was that bad.
That was part of what kept me hooked. Maybe my favorite shot of the movie is that first scene with Brad Pitt driving home after he drops him off that first night.
Yep. And
he's driving home and he's speeding by and all that stuff's flashing by behind him. That was visually maybe my favorite scene in the movie. And then they go back he gets home and that crane shot over the drive-in and the
love that shot. That was a beautiful shot.
And the projectors right in your face.
Mm-hmm.
That whole sequence was great. I love the scene with them with Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate in the car driving the party.
Mm.
I love that. Again, the cars, the sound. I would see this again in the theater because I know watching home, it's not going to pick up that sound. The sound of those cars. Again, that was part of the character. That was part of that lifestyle, and that was all. No, I didn't mind that at all.
Did any of you guys find it weird that Tarantino wasn't in the movie himself?
I was waiting for it, and then I forgot. And then at the very end, one of my friends had mentioned it, and I realized, he wasn't in it. And it's a double-edged sword because A, it's always fun when he pops up, but B, he's a terrible actor. So like, it doesn't.
Which would have fit perfectly in this time frame.
It kind of would have. Yeah, he could have been like one of the characters in a TV show, and I would have bought it.
Yeah, he could have been one of the goon cowboy guys during one of the shoots, or he could have been one of the guys in the Playboy Mansion. One thing I did like, and I don't know if you guys caught it or not, and maybe I did just because I recently just watched her in something else, was getting Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke's daughter in the film.
Oh, Maya Hawke, yeah.
Maya Hawke in at the end, because I knew she was going to be in it, and I was like, I have not seen her yet. Where is she? And then when she finally showed up, I'm like, oh, I actually love what they did with her in this. Like, they didn't make her like a big part, but she was a noticeable part in the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked that piece. I like that she popped up at when she did, and she was in and out. But I felt like it was a nice tip of the cat because I feel like with like Leo and Scorsese and Depp and Burton, I don't think you can think of Uma Thurman without thinking Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
And so to get her daughter in there, kind of, I think it's not her first film. I don't believe it is. But obviously,
was
but in the
Little Women, I think.
Yeah, but is Little Women out yet though?
Not the new one. I think she was. I thought she was in the older one from a few years ago.
Oh, okay. She's not in the one that's got Emma Watson in it. That
not the Greta Gerwig one. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Trying to find that though. I mean, we've all seen her in Stranger Things. I'm sure by now.
Then that's the thing. Is like I feel like that was like perfect timing.
Yeah.
To get Stranger Things out, not that it was planned, obviously, but it's just like she's keeping herself like everyone who watched Stranger Things. There's a lot of people, and then all of a sudden you're like, boom, there's Maya Hawke again, and it's just I thought that was really a nice tip of the cap to Tarantino, kind of a respectful thing because like Uma Thurman didn't pop up either. There was a lot of I also love the small cameo of Michael Madsen in the beginning.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, a lot of people forgot about that. I was like, Michael Madsen. I was like, oh, there he is.
Yeah, because he used to be so good, and then like if you watch him in his more recent films, he's not, he hasn't still got it.
He just don't care anymore.
He doesn't care. And I was worried that Tarantino would put him in and he would kind of take me out of the scene, but Tarantino used him perfectly as like one of these mediocre actors on like a Western TV show. It was a good choice.
Oh yeah, I love the little like that whole was it Bounty Law?
Yeah.
I loved that whole beginning where there's like I was like, oh wow, they're really just gonna show like the whole thing. Like I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be like a real quick clip. And it's like 5 minutes. I'm like, oh wow, okay, he's really gonna show like almost all this whole thing. I was like, I loved that. Let's go ahead and go to final thoughts with that since I feel like we're kind of running out of things to talk about with the movie. So Ethan, final thoughts. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, final thoughts. I was very satisfied as a fan of Quentin Tarantino and not worried, but just like I keep waiting for him to make a movie I don't like, and it hasn't happened, and I hope it never will. I mean, hopefully he won't finish with his next one or whatever. But I thought it had everything. It had enough action for me at the end. It had a lot of humor, more humor than I think I've ever seen in a Tarantino film, and I was very pleased with it. I was laughing the whole time through. Brad Pitt was incredible, and Leo, I don't want to discount him either because he was so good. Especially that scene like you were talking about before with the little girl. And I just I can't wait to see it again. And to say that for a movie I just saw a couple days ago that's almost 3 hours long, like it's impressive for me because it's really, really good. I think the rewatchability is going to be there.
So Ethan, a fan of Hateful Eight. Kirk, what were your thoughts?
I'm actually not. I said actually that's a good point. I don't love Hateful Eight.
I was like, you like that? Because like I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either.
Yeah.
So I was one of the two. I was like, okay, he's never found what he hates. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. Kirk, what were your final thoughts about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and I guess Tarantino in general?
Yeah, it's been 48 hours since I've seen that movie, and I haven't stopped thinking about it. I mean, that's a really good sign. And like I said, it's definitely top 3 or 4 for in his filmography for me now. Visually, like I said, my favorite movie he's made probably, and like I said, it feels like a guy 20, 25 years younger than he is making this movie. I hope, like Ethan said, he doesn't do what he says he's going to do and quit after 10 because it seems like, based on what we saw here, he's got a lot left in the tank. But yeah, it was so much fun. I kept hearing a lot of reviews going into it drags and there's part and I felt bad because like I was watching it, I'm like I'm really enjoying this. I'm going to be sad when it starts to drag, and it never did for me. 2 hours and 40 minutes. It could have been another 20, 30, 40 minutes, and I would have been there for every second of it. I loved the performances. I loved the cinematography, the visuals, the soundtrack. I have nothing bad to say about this movie. This is the first. I haven't felt this way about a Tarantino movie since Glorious Bastards. The Django I liked. Hateful Eight I was kind of on, but this one is a Tarantino movie that sticks with you.
Yeah, because I saw it, I think about 2 days prior to you. I saw it Thursday night, and I did my review, and I was one of those people that did say that the movie did drag. But it's also one of those movies that I've been, like you said, I've been thinking about it ever since I saw it. And the parts that bothered me, outside of what we talked about here, don't bother me nearly as much. And I definitely am feeling higher on it than I did when I initially saw it, which I think we can, outside of like Glorious Bastards, I think we can all attest that Quentin Tarantino is one of those movies that is better after you've watched it or rewatched it, not something that you usually love right off the first scene. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I'm liking it more now than I did after I initially watched it, looking back on it. And I feel like because I probably won't get to see it in theaters again, just because of time and stuff and other things to do. But like when it comes out on digital, Blu-ray, UHD, which I'll definitely get this in 4K because it's gonna look gorgeous. But yeah, I feel like I'm gonna appreciate and love it a lot more.
Yeah.
And where I think I said in my reviews, like I don't find this. I feel like it's gonna be in the middle of his rankings. But now I feel like it'll probably will be. No, I mean, well, I guess so. I was like, it'll probably be in his top 5. I think 5 is in the middle for him. So, but yeah, I'm not wrong on that. But yeah, with Tarantino himself, I mean, like I said, I love Tarantino. I have not. I clearly have not seen all of his movies either. I still have yet to see Jackie Brown, and even though he didn't direct it, True Romance. He didn't direct
what
that
was
one.
that last one you just said?
True Romance. He wrote that. He didn't direct that.
True
right?
Romance is great. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that or Jackie Brown. But yeah, I feel like with Tarantino, he's gonna do one more, and he's gonna make a big show of it. Like, I'm done, I'm never doing it again. But then, like in 5-10 years after that, he'll be back. Something's gonna spark him. Something's gonna spark him. If not directing, definitely still writing. I don't see Tarantino just not doing anything anymore.
I want to see that Star Trek movie.
I do too.
Coming from a Star Trek fan, do you really want to? I think he should close it out with Kill Bill. I think I do. I think he should really close it out because he talked about Kill Bill 3 or 2, however you want to call it. He's been talking about that since Kill Bill ended. How he wanted to wait until the daughter of what was her name?
Vivica A. Fox.
Vivica A. Fox's character. I was trying to think of her character name in the movie. He wanted to wait till she was old enough that she could hunt Black Mamba, and so. It's been a long enough time now. It's been, 16, 17 years since Kill Bill? It's time. So, I think he should finish it out with Kill Bill. And Star Trek, I feel like, I would love to see what a Tarantino Star Trek movie would be like. But I also feel like it should be one of those where it's like he doesn't count it as one of his movies kind of thing. So he does 2, even though he still does 10. Or he writes it and someone else directs it. Like, I can see that happening as well, where it's like, it's Tarantino's words, but he's having one of his buddies, maybe someone who's not in the limelight yet, kind of doing it, where it's like, it's really Tarantino directing it, but he wants someone else to get the credit for it. But yeah, like I said, we got at least one more coming out of him. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys feel like this review is worth sharing, go ahead and hit that share button. If you guys feel like this, most importantly, I kind of flow my words there, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that way you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up. And we're going to be doing more of these. So get used to these two faces because these guys are going to be popping up on here quite a bit with other movie talks and topics and stuff like that. And we're going to have a few more faces pop up as well. Kirk, where can the people find you?
I'm looking for me on Letterboxd. It's Kirk Kowal, KIRKKOWAL. Yeah, that's the stuff most interesting stuff going on.
All right, what about you, Ethan? Where can the people find you?
Yeah, same for me. Letterboxd is Beller3, BELLER3. That's pretty much where I do a lot of stuff for movie reviews or whatever. Just don't look for me to give you like serious reviews because I don't really. But if I put a heart on the movie, I love it. So just keep an eye out for that. And then we play in this movie trivia league, Full Metal Classics, and Multiplex also.
Yeah, definitely be on the lookout for us. We are 3 dangerous mofos in movie trivia, whether it be Full Metal Media, Multiplex. I'm blanking on another one. There's a third one somewhere.
I'm only those 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely be on the lookout for that. If you guys like us, you guys like to hear us talk, whether it be trivia or debate, we are definitely all over those. And of course, you can follow Sean's Movie Crusades on all the social media outlets you see below. And then also, I'm on Letterboxd as well. I don't really say that a whole lot, but you guys can find me at SMCruzades on there as well. And thank you too, Kirk, Ethan. Thank you guys both for being on the show. I hope you guys had a fun time. Hopefully, I didn't keep breaking out after the third time you guys told me I did.
Not too much. No,
yeah, we're gonna leave it in. I'm not gonna cut that out. we even though we're not live, I like to pretend we're live.
We're raw.
But yes, we are raw. But yeah, like I said, I hope you guys all enjoyed the review. If you guys did, feel free to leave some comments, hit those like buttons, and until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.